inquisitório do Tribunal de Contas da União foi constituído para averiguar o uso e aplicação de dinheiro público nos Jogos Pan-Americanos do Rio. Mais de 3 bilhões e 300 milhões de reais foram colocados no evento. Tem políticos e dirigentes que acham normal a montanha de dinheiro usada nos Jogos.
Claro que não é normal, né? Não é normal, né? Não é normal planejadamente, né? Essa grana está no bolso de alguém.
A indignação faz parte do sentimento de muitos brasileiros. E o trabalho de investigação e fiscalização traz informações surpreendentes. Subcontratação irregular, excesso de alterações contratuais, deficiência na fiscalização de contratos, atos de gestão antieconômicos e o mais grave de todos, indícios de superfaturamento.
Os indícios de superfaturamento que nós constatamos dizem respeito ao pagamento de bens, contratação de serviços ou aquisição de bens em preços superiores ao que se conseguiria no mercado, né? Ou também a pagamento de serviços que foram prestados em quantidades menores, bens que não foram entregues.
As condições de fiscalização são muito precárias. Os tribunais de contas não funcionam, os legislativos não funcionam, eles são comprados pelo chefe do executivo. O parlamento não vai fiscalizar o executivo. Não vai ocorrer enquanto não mudar a Constituição.
A pergunta é: qual foi o legado esportivo? Qual foi o legado ambiental? Qual foi o legado da infraestrutura urbana?
Não existe legado para a cidade do Rio de Janeiro sob nenhum aspecto.
É preciso que aquele legado seja aproveitado pelo povo do Rio de Janeiro. Aquilo não pode ficar parado para as moscas passearem de sábado e domingo. Aquilo tem que ser aberto, de preferência, todo santo dia, para que o povo desfrute daquilo, sabe? Que era esse o objetivo da gente fazer o investimento.
As mesmas pessoas que organizaram os Jogos Pan-Americanos e que tomaram no máximo um puxão de orelhas, organizam hoje as Olimpíadas, os Jogos Olímpicos no Brasil. Muitas delas também envolvidas com a própria Copa do Mundo, né? Porque o Estado, o município vão investir dinheiro em coisas públicas e em função disso são praticamente as mesmas pessoas que estão lidando com isso. Nada diferente do que vemos onde a FIFA e o COI estão como parceiros, né? Quando grandes eventos acontecem onde quer que seja, né?
It is, and despite the fact that you have a surging economy and well done and good luck, can you really handle two mega events with 2 years apart? Will it be twice as much corruption? It's worrying, isn't it? We have these issues everywhere. We've got issues in London about how we got the games, and I think there are questions still to be answered. How did Rio get the games? That's maybe another topic we can come to in a bit. But I'd be very worried if I were a taxpayer in Brazil, and it really is time sometimes. The ordinary people pay the taxes. Do they really go to the polls saying, I'm only going to vote for the party that will spend more and more of our money on unnecessary sports facilities to make contractor friends of sports politicians rich? I saw your man from Transparency International talking, and I think you really need, that is the magic word, transparency. But you start off by saying, why do we want it? Why do you want the World Cup? Why do you want the Olympic Games? And you have to come up with an answer, and it's not just happy clappy, oh, we love football. Yeah, fine, we all know that. Can you afford it? Should you afford it? Can you take me in half an hour to places, to homes without running water? I bet you can. That's not right, is it? I think it's time for people to say, it's not about loving sport. It's about our priorities in any country. And we are under stress in England, a fairly prosperous economy, paying the inflated bills we're now getting because the budget trebled We weren't told. We were lied to in England about the London bid and what it's costing now. And desperately, Lord Coe, the great Olympic athlete, goes around the country saying, and you're going to be getting this stuff as well, I should imagine, I'm passionate about legacy. Passionate? Are you serious? What does that word mean? Passion about legacy. What we know, and all the academic studies will show that after London has staged the the Olympic Games in 2012, probably be the same when you stage them in 2016. There will be more fat children sitting on chairs watching TV, not out there running, jumping, skipping, throwing. It doesn't work. There's no evidence that televising and hosting big sports events does anything for national health. Instead, these sports federations take money from companies that have some responsibility for making our children fat.
Pelas suas investigações, pelo que o senhor pôde descobrir, como Londres conseguiu os Jogos de 2012 e, se o senhor soube de algo, como o Rio de Janeiro conseguiu os Jogos de 2016?
You know, usually when I answer that kind of question, I've got at least one invisible lawyer sitting on my shoulder, which is very sensible, and I am listening. They're whispering in my ear, don't say this, do say that. I think I'll have one on each shoulder now. Let's deal with London first of all. What interested me with the London bid was the consultants they hired. And it might be worth you looking, because I don't know, you do know, you live here. Go and look and see what consultants were hired by your Olympic bidding team. Because I discovered that the London Olympic bid hired a number of people who were totally dirty. They'd worked for the ISL company. They'd been involved in the suitcasing. Oh God, there must be thousands of dollars in this bag. It's breaking my arm. Why did the London Olympic bid hire those people? We don't need them to tell us how to build stadia, how to talk about sport. We do quite a lot of sport in England. And then I demanded, and through freedom of information, got hold of the fees these guys were paid. And they were enormous. Millions and millions of British pounds went into those consultants. And from this point onwards, because, you know, they won't ever say, well, I bribed him, and oh, I got a bribe as well. It became apparent to some of us investigating the London Olympics that these guys' actual fees were only part of it. And it was reasonable to suspect that most of that money was black bag money. Because in my view, there's still at least half a dozen, I'm never too sure, half a dozen IOC members escaped the purge of 1999 and will look for money. There always was money, there always will be money, in their view. And that they will do shakedowns on the bidders, and sometimes I think the bidders don't fight very hard against the demand for bribes. Now when you come to Rio, that is interesting, because I was in Copenhagen for the decision, the IOC. They have a congress. I mean, they talk for 10 days and nobody ever remembers or cares what they talked about, but they ate very well. And what was interesting was that the Rio bid was in effect led by Havelange, because he's part of the IOC, he knows them all, he knows who takes money, he knows better than we investigative journalists, everybody's taken. Because nobody ever said Havelange was stupid. Nobody ever said that about him. So there he was, wanting to die without being criminally prosecuted in this country, as I think he should be, bringing the games to Rio. So he's a national hero. Not, well, what were you doing all those years ago in the Brazilian Sports Federation? 30 years ago, where did the money go? You know the stories. So he comes back a hero. Now what interested me was one other man who was in Copenhagen, and he wasn't a sports official, and he wasn't a reporter, he wasn't a TV cameraman. There's a man called Jean-Marie Weber, who for more than 20 years took the suitcases round for ISL. He fixed the payments, and he was one of the defendants in that trial in Zug, Switzerland I talked about earlier. On my website, when I write about him, I call him the bag man, because he carried the bag of money. Because some of the people at FIFA, and we have more work to do on this, got cash, and so the paper trail died. Now, what is Jean-Marie Weber doing inside that Congress, because I guess some of you guys were probably there. Do you remember how hard to get the neck plastic? You could just walk in. These days, for all these big public events, you have to fill in your form months ahead. I mean, those sort of security things, fair enough. So we all do this, and we all jump through the hoops, and we prove which newspaper or TV station we're working for, and usually we get the accreditation. Even I get it now. But you still have to go through a long process, and you have to justify, which is reasonable, why you're there. What is Jean-Marie Weber, the bagman, doing inside the ring of steel with Danish police outside, thinking Osama's going to come and blow up the IOC, which I don't think is very likely, actually, but it makes it more dramatic for them, doesn't it? Minutes after that vote, that gave the games to Rio, two men shook hands. Havelange with both hands, and Jean-Marie Weber, the bagman. And there's a photograph of them doing it on my website. I didn't take it. A good friend of mine, a German journalist. It's not very good quality because the light wasn't very good. The important thing is, look at their faces, look at their hands. These are two men who've just achieved something. What is the Swiss Jean-Marie Weber doing for Rio? And I think just the very fact, and let's not beat about the bush. Did Havelange take bribes from ISL? So it has been published in Switzerland. So the liquidator says off the record, and we hope to change that soon. Who paid the money? Jean-Marie Weber. So two guys with intimate experience of financial exchanges of a dubious kind are there in Copenhagen